Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for coming today. I'm Dr. Tim Downs, and I'm the Provost and Chief Academic Officer at Niagara University. It is my pleasure to serve as the MC for our program this afternoon. We believe that this is a monumental day for Niagara Falls and for Western New York. The Niagara Global Tourism Institute represents a major step in transforming Niagara Falls from a visitor attraction to an international tourism destination. Because this is an immensely important project for our region, there have been and will continue to be many collaborators and partners. At this time, I would like to take a moment to recognize a special guest that's with us today, Assemblyman John Soretto. Thank you. You didn't realize there were so many people in the audience. And I would ask at this time, have any other elected officials come in without us knowing? If you could identify yourself. Having here none, we'll move forward. Thank you all for being here again and for your support. We're very pleased to say that once again, the New York Power Authority is playing a major role in our region as one of the partners in this Niagara Global Tourism Institute project. It is through a NYPA Proceeds Funding Award that this project is getting off the ground. Today, we are very pleased to have Mr. Harry Francois, New York Power Authority Western New York Regional Manager, to speak on behalf of the New York Power Authority. Mr. Francois.
Thank you, Dr. Downs. On behalf of the New York Power Authority, I want to thank Father Ma for inviting NYPA to be a part of the ribbon cutting of the Niagara University Global Tourism Institute. I'm honored to share this podium with our Niagara Falls Mayor, Deister, and our distinguished speakers, Assemblyman John Soretto. Thank you. Thank you. As part of NYPA, Niagara Power Project and Niagara University shared a long history and common goals, primarily the restoration of the Buffalo Niagara region to its rightful status as a world-class tourism destination. Why is this so important to us? Tourism is not just more than attracting visitors. It is the cornerstone of the vital economic development strategy that will help anchor our region's economy and ensuring a vital and ongoing revenue stream, while at the same time creating jobs in our communities. We've seen that there's a lot going on, as we've probably seen from the Niagara University also. We're doing a lot. It is a source of both professional and personal pride of the New York Power Authority Proceed Program Fund Award. Net earning from sale of unutilized Niagara hydropower, which probably we all know half of our electricity that we generate probably goes to most of our customers locally. And some of the extra we have for sure goes in the market. And this is why we can fund these kind of programs. This is actually ensuring that Niagara University can establish such a great place that we are here today, the Niagara Global Tourism Institute. This is precisely the type of initiative that envisioned by the state legislators that established the Power Proceed program, which centered on spurring economic development and tourism in our region. The Institute is representative of Governor Cuomo's advocacy of innovative, high-tech solutions to regional and state challenges that result from the collaboration of the public and the private sectors, together with academia. The work of Niagara Global Tourism Institute will provide a roadmap to ensure that the Buffalo Niagara region, natural wonders, and multitude of recreational opportunities will grow and thrive as a must-see tourist destination. I look forward to welcome future visitors from around the world to our many vibrant communities. They will come to know the Western New Yorkers have been privileged to enjoy the awesomeness of our region's natural beauties, the multitude experiences to enjoy. and most importantly, the warmth of our friends and neighbors. Here where we are, such a great building. I know that it's gonna bring a lot of people here, a lot of tourists from the world coming in. We're gonna keep it up, and it's gonna continue for years to come. And I thank you all for being part of this event today. And I wish that our President Girl would be here. He'd be proud to see this. And I will make sure that I pass it on to him, seeing all the wonderful people here in this room, and our leaders in the community, the legislators that make this possible, and the assemblymen. And again, one person we can never forget is our Father Ma. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Harry, for your support on this project and NYPA's continued commitment to the development of Western New York. I also would like to at this time recognize Ms. Carol Sampson, New York Power Authority Community Relations Representative, who is also with us here today. Carol? In addition to NYPA's backing, we are pleased to have great support from New York State and the Office of Governor Andrew Cuomo. Governor Cuomo has said repeatedly that tourism plays a major role in the success of the Empire State, and that we look forward to working with and planning our relationship with the Governor's Office through the Western New York Regional and Economic Development Council and the Niagara Global Tourism Institute. Today we're very pleased to have Mr. Howard Zemsky with us. He serves as co-chair of Governor Cuomo's Western New York Regional Economic Development Council, and he's here to provide some remarks. Mr. Zemsky.
Good afternoon, everyone. Great to be here. I did have the opportunity to talk to the governor yesterday. I know he's excited about the ribbon cutting today. He said, Zemsky, don't mess it up. So I'm going to do my best. I want to recognize again Mr. Francois and Carol and the entire NYPA team. Until you get involved in economic development the way I have for the last several years, you don't have a full appreciation for the depth and breadth of commitment and support that this whole Western New York community gets from NYPA. So to the amazing Gil Quinones and Chairman John Cuomo, to every wonderful person I've met at NYPA in the last few years, we on behalf of the whole regional council, we want to again thank you, Harry, and thank the whole NYPA team. Let's hear it one more time for Harry. I've had the opportunity to chair the Regional Economic Development Council, so I want to recognize a few people. We have some members. I know Deanna's here, Deanna Brennan. And you all know Deanna. Where is she? Deanna, thank you for being here. Does a great job. Duncan, where's Duncan? One of our founding members on the Regional Economic Development Council. Duncan, are you still here? Or did you just shake hands and split? All right, you're still here. He makes a good wine, Arrowhead. The Western New York Regional Council does not necessarily promote the drinking of alcohol. If you were to drink some, Arrowhead Springs is very fine wine. Let me think. Our state partners have been amazing to work with. I know Ange Birdie from Parks is here, right, Ange? Great to have you here. There she is, being very modest and humble in the back. We have had a great partner with Laura K. Brawl and the UB Regional Institute. Laura's here, the deputy director. But it's been an amazing process, so I probably get in trouble starting to go down names. Chris Shefflin, whoa, what a tremendous force for us in economic development. ESD partner, Chris, I know you're going to hear from Chris, but Chris does a fabulous job, as does Paul and his whole team. And of course, the mayor of Niagara Falls is on our council, and thank goodness for the extraordinary political leadership we have in the city of Niagara Falls and with Assemblyman Soretto as well. Great partners with the state, the private sector, academia. That's really the whole concept behind the REDC, is that collaboration and partnership. You know, we have some interesting, it's an interesting day because we hit so many of our economic development hotspots here. One, we're in a historic building. Who knows when this building was originally built? Somebody does, I bet? 1924. Thank you. The mayor / professor always has the answer, 1924. Excellent. Well, we value historic preservation. We also value downtown cores and density, what we call smart growth. So It's great to see more vibrancy and more activity downtown. It's great to see, continued use of this wonderful historic building. We also recognize in our plan that our colleges and universities are one of the key strategic assets of this region. 21 outstanding colleges and universities, obviously Niagara University being one of the very finest. So we hit so many of our important components before we ever even begin to talk about tourism. The governor's commitment to tourism is huge. His commitment to Niagara Falls is big, and he is optimistic and bullish on Niagara Falls. His strategy revolves around, taking advantage of, between both sides of this border, tens of millions of people who come visit. That's a huge opportunity for us, right? So the strategy is connect the city back to the waterfront. It's to extend stays, to improve the hotel product. It's to increase the park programming, to invest in the park infrastructure. We know if we can keep people in Western New York, in Niagara Falls, New York, just close the gap between the amount of time they spend in Canada versus the amount of time they spend in New York. If we can close that gap by 50%, just 50%, we can add 7,500 jobs to the Western New York economy. This is a huge industry for Western New York, over 50,000 people employed, over $2 billion of annual economic impact. It's a big focus of his, and he's very bullish on Niagara Falls. He's very bullish on the role that Niagara Falls plays in the Western New York tourism economy, the way it anchors the tourism economy, and the way we can grow tourism across the 5-county region, and certainly here in Niagara Falls. So it's a great day for the Institute. We're extremely excited about the research that it will provide, about the technology focus that it has. The way tourism happens has changed a lot. The customer's use of technology has changed dramatically. Being on the cutting edge of new technology, of research, and of workforce training and development is central to our continued success and central to the governor's realizing his vision for a robust Niagara Falls and Western New York. So I want to congratulate Father Marr and Niagara University, Eddie, the whole team on your Global Institute. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zemsky, for being with us today and all that you've already accomplished with the Regional Economic Development Council, and especially for your leadership efforts in the economic development of all of Western New York. We can all maybe give you a special round of applause for all that you've done. In addition to the support of the governor's office, it's critical to look at our local leadership and how that plays a role in this initiative. We're very pleased to have the Honorable Mayor Paul Deister with us today, the Mayor of Niagara Falls, who, as we all know, is a huge proponent of Western New York and Niagara Falls, and is very much a proponent of the Niagara Global Tourism Institute since the very day of its inception. So please join me in welcoming Paul Deister.
Thanks, Tom. That's actually, technically Dr. Paul Deister, PhD, which at occasions like this, I think I'm going to start. I'm not sure it's a political asset always in Niagara Falls to have a PhD, but I think in this crowd, we're doing pretty good. So, this is a wonderful occasion for us here in the city of Niagara Falls. We're getting the opportunity to partner simultaneously here with several of those institutions out there that we always lean on when we need to get something done. And one of them, of course, is Niagara University, the Regional Economic Development Council, USA Niagara, and the New York Power Authority. This is the second great announcement that the Assemblyman and I have had the chance to attend today. We were out at Niagara Falls International Airport, one of the very first electric vehicle charging stations in Western New York has been installed out there as a result of, the governor's Charge New York program and the efforts of the New York Power Authority. So, they're on the cutting edge of a lot of really positive things that are happening out there. I don't know, whether it was a coincidence or divine intervention or just some clever person at the Oshai Foundation, but about the same time I took office as mayor, a fellow by the name of Eddie Friel turned up at Niagara University as expert in residence, and his area of expertise was global tourism, right? And I needed somebody to tutor me on tourism, because if you're going to be mayor of the city of Niagara Falls, boy, you better have more than a layman's understanding of what the tourism industry is all about. Eddie's credentials were impeccable. For those of you who don't know, he is himself an Irishman, but he made his reputation in Glasgow, Scotland, in the revitalization of the surrounding region there, and was subsequently awarded the Order of the British Empire for his efforts. So I'm just guessing, Eddie, I haven't talked to you. I didn't talk to you. I've been meeting with you constantly over the last few weeks. Never talked to you about the Scottish referendum, but I'm guessing that you're reasonably pleased as a recipient of the OBE. Had that gone the other way, you might have had to send back the OBE, and what you would have received in return would be a bottle of scotch, a bowl of haggis, and a bouquet of thistles, probably, right? So rather keep the OBE. So. When, in all seriousness, when I sat down with Eddie, I mean, Eddie was sort of, doing his introductory tour, speaking at various institutions around Western New York, and was wowing everyone. He certainly wowed me with his explanation that if we wanted tourism to do all of the great things that we thought it could do for our city and region, we had to treat it as a serious industry, right? I mean, you wouldn't expect a chemical industry or a steel industry, other traditional industries with which we are more familiar in the region, to just sort of, pop up out of the ground like crocuses in the spring, right? And yet somehow that's the attitude that we in this city and region took towards tourism for far too long, right? It was just something that happened. It wasn't something that we did. It wasn't something that we planned. It wasn't something that we invested in, right? It was just that when the weather turned, people in station wagons would start arriving in downtown Niagara Falls. We'd try to find them a place to stay, right? Well, that's not the way that we do tourism anymore, right? It's been said that I've been a supporter of this initiative from the very beginning, or maybe even before the beginning. That's absolutely true. I understood that there were certain tasks that needed to be performed in not just the cities, but in the region's tourism economy that were made more essential by the types of technological changes that Howard, talked about in the way that the tourism industry functions, right? When we first started talking about international tourists visiting here and how, we could tell them the great stories of our region, when I was on the city council, working with Tom DeSantis way back in the year 2000, we talked about, well, what sort of a device would you have to give someone from another country so that they could hear information about our, history of hydropower, for example, in their native language? And boy, was that a challenge to try to figure that out, right? Well, guess what, folks? The year is 2014. We're all carrying those devices around in our pockets, right? So the challenge now, how do we connect into this increasingly electronic world, right, this data-sensitive world in a way that promotes our local economy and our local tourism attractions, that gets people into our hotels and, so on and so forth, right? There was a void here, right? We know that two of the major themes of our regional economic development plan are innovation and workforce development, right? So what did we need to do in the tourism industry in order to make certain, first of all, that our workers were ready for a tourism industry that is very, very different than their parents' or grandparents' tourism industry? That was obviously very important. And secondly, what did we need to do to be certain that we stayed on the cutting edge in terms of the development of technology? Because the development of those technologies is itself an independent job generator attached to the tourism industry, right? Somebody's going to be writing programs for tourism interpretation apps, right? Why not have those people be graduates of Niagara University working right here in the Western New York area? Those are the questions that we asked ourselves. And, the answer that we came up with at the end of the day was that we needed to enlist an academic partner, and Niagara University has always been a great academic partner of the city of Niagara Falls, to begin to address certain key tasks. First of all, what is the information base on which all of this tourism industry is going to be founded, right? You wouldn't open a new steel plant without doing research on global trends, right, in the steel market, on what new technologies for production were available, what types of steel are going to be out there in the future, and so on. We shouldn't walk blindly into the future of tourism either, right? So we need to improve the database. Somebody's got to work on that. Who's going to do that for us? Well, the GTI is going to do that for us. Secondly, we need somebody who's going to explore different types of tourism technologies that can be utilized to help revitalize the destination, right? I talked a little bit about mobile technologies that we carry around with us. Somebody's got to write the software. Somebody's got to link together the systems by which we move people through transportation systems into our region, the places where they book their rooms, where they stay. I see some hoteliers out there in the crowd. I know they're very interested in that. How they find things to do while they're here, how they learn about the region in which they're visiting, and so on. We need a partner to help develop those technologies and the jobs that are going to come along with them. What is that partner? Well, the partner is going to be Niagara University and the GTI. Third, we need somebody to identify where we're going to get the people that we need to work in the tourism industry in the future, and how we're going to make certain that they are equipped with the right skills to fit into this new and evolving tourism industry, right? We all know that tourism is a great source of entry-level jobs, and we certainly have a crying need for entry-level jobs here in Niagara Falls, right? We have a lot of unemployed people, some of whom don't have a lot of job skills. But as Professor Friel is always reminding me, where you start is not where you finish in the tourism industry if you apply yourself with imagination and dedication. And there are plenty of ladders up in the tourism industry, right? I see a lot of people who are executives in the tourism industry sitting out here in the audience, so I'm preaching to the choir. But we need to be able to reach out to our young people and make them understand that tourism can be not just a summer job, but a very, very fulfilling career over a period of decades, right? And finally, right, we need some assistance someplace where people who have ideas for tourism businesses that take advantage of these new opportunities and new technologies can get some assistance in getting off the ground, right? We need a tourism business incubation partner, if you will. Where are we looking for that partner? We're looking for that partner at the Global Tourism Institute, right? So, Father Mayor, Niagara University throughout my time as mayor, always, when I need a partner there someplace to come through, and I go to bed at night and I say my prayers and whatever. I wake up in the morning and somehow there's always a call from your office and from your predecessor, Father Levesque, before you. And I can only say that Niagara University has truly been a godsend for me as mayor and for the city of Niagara Falls during the time that I've been mayor. And I think that this partnership is even more forward-looking than many of the others that we have established. I think that what we're doing here today is the first step in a process that is going to have many, many positive implications in the coming decades, some of which we can foresee, but I think there's a lot of serendipity that is going to surround this effort, and I think it's even difficult for us to imagine, the fruits that are going to grow in the tree that we're planting here today in the future. But I know that it's going to be a tremendous harvest. So thank you, everyone, for the opportunity to speak here today. And I think at this point, you're going to hear something from Chris Shefflin from USA Niagara Development Corporation.
And I would like to affirm publicly that anytime you would like to teach for us, Dr. Deister, we would be willing to have you in the classroom. I understand that you have come in many times and done a wonderful job and given our students great insights into the world of politics and political theory and planning regions.
I'd like to consider that, but I think I've got another job I've got to get done first. For the next
Absolutely. I understand. Maybe we're talking a night school, night job. Yes. Yes. So thank you for everything you bring and all of your insights. You are a driving force and continue to help us in Niagara Falls and the region. You couldn't have given us a much better introduction of Dr. Eddie Friel, so I'd like to have Eddie stand up. Eddie is the thought leader and a driving force behind this, and I now start talking about destinations versus tourists and people, visitors. He's been a great mentor to me as well in terms of learning what we need to do. So we're very happy that you're serving as the director of the NGTI. And his assistant, Roscoe Naggett, I'm not sure if Roscoe, he's somewhere in the building, he's in the back. So we have one in the front and one in the back. Roscoe is a proud Niagara University graduate and is the assistant director of the NGTI project. So it's a real partnership that's going to make this all work. So with that, another key in our planning process and for the success of the NGTI is our partnership with USA Niagara Development Corporation. And as the mayor said, we're pleased to have Chris Shefflin here to talk about this project and his presidency as USA Niagara Development. One thing that's important to note is that Chris has also agreed to be the co-chair of the advisory board. So Father Marr is the chair as the president of Niagara University, and Chris is the co-chair, so we have a community person and an NU person to conjoin and move this initiative forward. So Chris, we welcome you to the podium.
Thank you very much, Tim. Good afternoon, everybody. On behalf of Governor Cuomo and the Board of Directors of the USA Niagara Development Corporation, and all my colleagues at ESD and USA Niagara, I'm obviously very pleased to be with all of you this afternoon. I'd like to start with congratulations to Niagara University, Father Marr, the trustees, administration, faculty, and staff on the opening of today's Global Tourism Institute. And Father Marr, it's a great privilege for me personally and professionally to join you to serve as a co-chair of the Advisory Council. It's an opportunity I'm very much looking forward to, so thank you very much for that. Just a few points. The mayor stole all my technology thunder, so we'll get through this quickly. Over the last number of years, our theory has been that downtown Niagara Falls would never realize its full potential without a physical presence of Niagara University. And likewise, that Niagara University's College of Hospitality and Tourism Management would never realize its full potential without a physical location in downtown Niagara Falls. And so the two have this symbiotic relationship that begins to be realized today. And so from an economic development standpoint, it's extremely gratifying. Partnerships. There are many key people and organizations and entities that are represented here today. I see the Niagara Tourism Convention Corporation, of course the City of Niagara Falls. I see the Niagara USA Chamber, Niagara Falls National Heritage Partnership, of course industry, elected officials, most importantly the community at large. Those will continue to be important spokes in the tourism wheel, if you will. Today that wheel gets a little bit stronger, it gets significantly stronger with the addition of Niagara University downtown Niagara Falls. And so those partnerships that are in place play a key role moving forward, but have a little bit more horsepower here with Niagara University is always a positive thing. One other point, education is economic development, right? The university's participation intellectually, physically, through leadership, partnerships, student presence, involvement, all accrue to the benefit of how downtowns look, feel, develop, and most importantly, how they think. And there must be a very powerful relationship between university and industry, and I think that the Global Tourism Institute is a major step in that direction. And lastly, the one thing I will say about technology is what this industry looks like in 25 years, I have no idea. But the real promise of the Global Tourism Institute, certainly day to day it'll be working to help attract more visitors, help them stay longer, perhaps leave a little bit more of their hard-earned money behind. That's the promise of today, but the promise of tomorrow is to actually bring the tourism industry here. For visitors, Niagara Falls is a place you have to see. The promise of the Global Tourism Institute, and the thing that we've talked about with Eddie from the start, is that it has to be a place that industry has to be. And so that if you wanted to have actually a test bed where, whether it's technologies or workforce development or all the things that have been mentioned prior to my words here, that you can actually do it in a tourist environment, in a tourist destination, so that as the destination evolves, as tourism evolves, so does the destination, and as it grows, so does this destination. So I think there's a very powerful relationship between what the future of technology and future of tourism looks like, especially when you look at it through the lens of an international tourism destination. And so that for me is very exciting, because what that is describing is actually the full build out or the full development of an entire industry cluster known as tourism, and others have touched upon that. So that's what leaves me very excited today, and it's so good to be with all of you. So again, thanks to all of our partners here today, and again, congratulations to Niagara University. Thank you.
One of the connections I'd like to make at this time is that we're proud as a university that the College of Hospitality and Tourism Management is recognized internationally as one of the best. So our alignment with this project and being a facilitator of this project makes perfect sense. The College of Hospitality and Tourism Management faculty will be involved in the project. The dean will be involved with the project. And since it's an academic college, that's why this project resides within the academic sector. So we're all extremely excited to leverage what we have as a wonderful college and world-renowned, and also we'll be bringing other faculty from throughout the university to draw from that intellectual capital. So there's a lot of things that we're going to draw from, but we're also going to need a lot of partners from within the region to fill in the gaps where we may not understand what exactly is happening. In terms of the sign, you can see there are 4 purple stripes, and they're to symbolically represent the falls. But there's 4 of them because there's 4 pillars of this initiative. So it wasn't an accident in terms of the graphic identity. So we have research, we have technology, we have workforce training, and we have an incubator. So it's not an accident the way this turned out. And it's a partnership between the region and the university, and we're very excited for that. So when we say that the words Niagara Falls, the name evokes images from around the world, this great wonder that's in our backyard. All of us are here today affirming the need to move Niagara Falls forward. Leadership, vision, collaboration bring us together today, and we'll continue to do so with these partnerships. Now I'm pleased to introduce an individual who shares and is a proponent of the vision that this group has, and it is someone that's fully behind this common cause to raise the name of Niagara Falls in the Western New York region to heights that the mayor spoke of that we can all live for and achieve. So it gives me great pleasure today to introduce Father James Marr, CM, our 26th president of Niagara University, for his remarks. Armand.
Thank you, Tim, and I congratulate you and Eddie for your work in making this historic day possible. I'd also like to thank Howard Zemsky, Harry Francois, Paul Deister, and Chris Shefflin as well. I'm pleased to welcome one of our trustees, Pam Jacobs-Vogt, who is here representing the trustees of the university. And I'd also like to offer special recognition to Mr. Jimmy Glynn, Chairman Emeritus of Niagara University, who's here with us today. Please, Pam. I'd also like to make mention of a special person who's worked tirelessly behind the scenes for Niagara University to make this day a reality as well. She works incredibly hard every day for the region and for the university, and I know it because she works in the office next to me. Please join me in thanking Dr. Bonnie Rose, our Executive Vice President at Niagara University. I'd also like to welcome my really good friend and presidential colleague from Niagara College in Ontario, Canada, Dan Patterson. In 1624, in Paris, France, St. Vincent de Paul looked upon the landscape of his motherland, and what he saw was not a pretty picture. He saw a church plagued by corruption, malaise, mediocrity, sadly more interested in gaining influence with nobility and political rulers than using the gift of faith to energize the lives of its people and to build human dignity. Vincent saw a society that was at best indifferent to the needs of the poor and the marginalized, but tragically demonstrating little or no interest in creating economic and social opportunities for its citizenry. Yet in spite of all that, St. Vincent had a vision in which he placed the needs of people living in destitute poverty at the center of his life and activity. It was a vision of faith, service, and human development, which sought to make a measurable and lasting impact upon the lives of people living in poverty, an impact that still lives today. The Vincentian vision and Vincentian heart lies at the center of the Niagara Global Tourism Institute. With our Vincentian heart, we seek to connect all the dots, where economic, social, and personal development are not siloed, isolated forces, but rather dynamically intertwined to make a lasting and measurable impact on the lives of people in our region. St. Vincent de Paul was himself a master developer, seeking to develop property, people, and services to the poor of all walks and ways of life. He was a great social entrepreneur who galvanized rich and poor, men and women, politicians and nobility, to make it their aim to develop a panoply of services that restored shattered hopes and human dignity, from disaster relief to those living with hunger, homelessness, and those seeking education. Of little knowledge as well, as Vincent also developed businesses to serve as an engine of revenue for those good works. In the words of the late daughter of charity, Sister Eileen Krause, Vincent de Paul created margin for his compelling and eternal mission. The Niagara Global Tourism Institute is born of that vision. My predecessor, Father Joseph Levesque, embodied the story of the rainbow in the great flood in the book of Genesis. At the time of destruction, God sends a rainbow to assure the people of his abiding presence. Through Father Levesque's leadership, Niagara University has been that rainbow in Niagara Falls, seeking to utilize the tools of teaching, research, and service to assure the people, the good people of Niagara Falls and this region, we are with you in your time of need, and we're committed to making a difference in our communities and in your lives. Today, we build on that great work, and we increase our commitment. The Niagara Global Tourism Institute, we steward one of God's great and nature's beautiful gifts, Niagara Falls. We create a home for tourism and reestablish Niagara Falls as the bastion of hospitality, seeking to share the beauty and the wonderful hospitality of this great region. So let it be said, next to the glorious Niagara Falls, today is a watershed day for our region, when a university, through service, teaching, and research, and with dynamic partners, follows the vision of St. Vincent de Paul, seeking to partner with government, with business, with education, and with social services. We do not simply mean to bring more people to this region, although that is our aim, but we seek to share its beauty, its bounty, and its resources, so that a lasting and measurable impact may be made for the people of Niagara Falls and this entire region. May God be with us in our efforts. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Father Maher, for your leadership in our region. Once again, I'd like to thank everyone for being with us today. Before we move to the lobby for a ceremonial ribbon cutting, I would invite Father Kevin Cray to come forward. Father Cray is the Vice President for University Mission and Ministry, and he will offer a blessing on this important initiative and the many partners who will take an active role in the Niagara Global Tourism Institute.
Let us pray. Lord, we ask you to graciously send your blessing on the Niagara Global Tourism Institute, that it might become a successful project of engagement, partnership, opportunity, and learning that will enhance and highlight the rich culture of the entire Western New York region. Fill those who work here with the spirit of knowledge and wisdom as they seek to find new opportunities for development and collaboration, following the example of our patron, St. Vincent de Paul, a master planner with a heart and mind turned toward the needs of the greater good. Extend your blessings on the leadership of the Niagara Global Tourism Institute and all those who have generously and graciously given of their time and talent to help create this center for research, planning, and growth. May they always know our gratitude and your love for them. May all who use this institute and this space be pleasing to you, and its good and noble mission build up the common good. And we ask this in your holy name. Amen.
1, 2,
3.